Live from the command center of JW Solar USA. In today's video, I want to show you how I'm going to parallel this golden mate and the gold kilowatt hour. The reason why I'm doing this, because if you watch my past video or my previous video, we talk about this guy here. But the reason why I'm gonna parallel them together, most of lithium batteries, you gotta check, but most of them don't want to be parallel. They can't. Some of them you can parallel two of them, only a string or maybe a 4 max. The ones I've seen is a 4 max, most of the ones I have experience with. So I have them sitting in this corner right here. Due to the laxity of this one, of the BMS cannot perform the way it's supposed to, the surge, it can't handle to start up my refrigerator and freezer at the same time, because the surge capacity, it can't handle it. Two of them, but this battery can sit here. It's gonna be useless if I don't use it, or I don't put it to use, or if I don't get rid of it or give it to somebody else. So I decided to come up with this idea and parallel, and this is just a temporary setup. I can use a bus bars for newcomers, just the starters. They don't know what's a bus bar, like this one, bus bar. And so even old school people already been to this game for a while, they don't use bus bars. Bus bars are nice to parallel stuff, to stack things up. So you can put all this. I would have used the positive on this side and the negative on this side and bring it to the bus, because I have a 4 studs, and I can use this one here and that one over there and put it here. It's parallel. Okay, so I can have two of these, the black or the red. So then from there you can just take from the open spot that is there, or whatever, you can take from that end and bring it to the inverter. So we are using a Magnum. This is the MMS 1210. So 2000 watts, 12 volts, 1000 watts, which is kilowatts. So that's what we're gonna do, or that's what we already did. The reason why I talked about something and I didn't do it, because I only have one of these. So I end up putting the other one into another project or somewhere. I can't remember where I put it, but I'm left with one. I have to have the same. This I think can handle up to about 300 amps. So I want to use this. It makes the connection cleaner and easier to do by taking the inverter. Now this is the inverter here and the inverter right here. So I decided to parallel them. When you parallel, you gotta take one side. If this one would have been like this way, you can take one from the far end of the battery and the other side. You pull different angles. That's what I have done here. Okay, this is the positive here tied to the positive over there, and the negative here tied to negative over there. So what I've done, so I took the positive for this side, this golden mate, to the inverter right here. See that the positive comes from here, and the negative came from here, from the go kilowatt hour, from here, the negative, to there. Because if I would have pulled it from here, from the negative from here, and the positive comes from this, is dragging one battery. You put in the one battery into stress. So this is the reason why I have to pull from different angles. But the way the batteries are sitting, the configuration here, is kind of weird, and it's just a tight corner, and I'm just testing. You see, it's cold outside. It's cold on the cold at the garage, and even outside to do anything. So that leverage is gone. So I have to utilize a corner right here, and I'm using a 2-hot cable from Real Excellent. It's a flexible welding cable. That's all I use here. And because see the 4 crowns here, Real Excellence. And for you guys overseas, and you can use, is a 62mm welding cable, 600 volts, minus 50 degrees Celsius to 105 degrees Celsius. It's made in the USA. It's good stuff. So because it's a 12-volt system, we want to make sure that we pull in a lot of amps. And anytime this system surge, and you can see it here on the monitor. So back to these guys. So we use a beefy wire to transfer because it's a low voltage, and you can have a voltage drop, but this wire is overkill for even this inverter. This one's supposed to go, this is just 1,000 watts. You can use number 2, even number 2 is overkill. I think it's number 4. You can use number 4 on this one. You see, number 4 works. But since the inverter surged almost 2 times its capacity, which is a low frequency, it has a a transformer sitting right there inside. So if you didn't even know, this guy is small, but it surges almost 2 times the capacity of that thing. So due to that, coming back to the batteries here, this thing can show up to about over 100 amps, like 115 amps surge. And this guy can handle it because of the BMS they have there. It's not adequate. But if you look at the specifications here, it's the same. It's a 12 volts, 100 amp, 1280, 1280 watt hours. That's the same thing over there. You know, it's the same thing it has down there. You see? You see it? Right there. They're all 100 amps. But this one cannot do the job because all of a sudden it's going to shut down the BMS. And it comes to a certain thing when the BMS shut off, and you know it's supposed to turn back on, it doesn't do it. You know, after a few seconds, it's supposed to come back up, like a BMS supposed to do, and it doesn't do it. Maybe 30 seconds. So for some reason, I think this battery is defective, like I said, and I don't want to repeat that anymore. If you want to see the reason why I'm trying to discredit this battery, it might not be the manufacturer, or maybe it's sorry or whatever. That's, well, it's just something in that thing. The cell, 4 cells wired in series. Okay, so cell number 1 is not charging to a full capacity, and cell number it doesn't even balance. So cell number 2, number 3, number 4, it turns the activation, and you know you get a certain threshold where you can able to change where they're supposed to able to trigger and started doing the balancing. Like maybe some people like a 3.4, 5, some people are 3.3 or whatever the BMS is set up for. It has a Bluetooth capability in here, and some of the app that you can use Syngin, you cannot even change the parameters. So I don't know, you might probably have another apps that you're gonna go through and do all this stuff maybe, but it's on you, because if you do anything that causes problem and a risk to your life, and it's all on you. Can't blame them. They set up everything the way they want it. Sometimes you don't want that because even the temperatures gonna be sensors, gonna be set up in different ways. This one does have a Bluetooth capability, so I cannot adjust nothing here. It's set the way they want it at the factory. And when you open these batteries, I already opened them. Watch the videos for this, the review, and watch the videos. I made a lot of reviews on this, about 3 or 4 videos on this one now. I think this is going to be the 5th one. And it was so attractive. It's a good, see, it looks like it's really nice. And also, I like the color. And this one doesn't have the Bluetooth capability. You know, I didn't fall in love for that one at all first. But my attention was on this one. And that was my greatest fall. My mistake. And this is the one that has a problem. This one is not all thing that glitters is gold, but this one does heavy duty job. So now what we did, deplete these batteries till this inverter shut off. And the thing is, I set the inverter to shut off at 11.2 volts, and I would have went all the way further down, and so that I can able to do take more from this. And since they're already parallel, and they're just gonna start charging and see if we can able to use these batteries together instead of sitting. I don't mind. I would keep this one, you know, kept this one for testing stuff, and it can run my house. I already tested this one, and which is the Golden Mate, almost very close to 24 hours, very close for one whole day on the freezer and the fridge at the same time. But this guy cannot do it because the fridge has a kind of thing like a defrosting mode. So now we have the RJ11 or RJ12 plug right here, just like a telephone thing, and we're gonna stick it to where it says remote, and make sure you correspond to that and see what is happening here. This guy is waking up, giving it the serial number of the inverter, and now he's gonna read like a fault because the battery is low. Batteries are low. So if we go back here, I don't know if we can able to change this, and we're gonna drop it down to, okay, we're going to low battery cutoff. I said that's 11.2, which is gonna be 2.8 volts per cell. So that's why I set it up. We can able, because according to the manual specification for this guy, it can go about 10 volts, and even that too, the Golden Mate. So if we drop it to maybe 10, which is going to be 2.3 volts per cell, so we can just start up. Now it's set. Start up this entire thing. If we can able to run it again, the inverter can turn on and we can start from there. Stay tuned. So even if we want to start the inverter, it's not gonna start because it already went into a fault mode. Okay, it went to a fault mode. So for us to get out from that fault, I have to activate the AC input or shut down the inverter completely. So watch this. I activate the AC charging, and it's gonna be off on that thing. So the load picks up right away. Let's see. I'll try and make sure, okay, the inverter light is on. When we disconnect the grid, see, still handle it. But look at the surge, because the refrigerator, the freezer, the compressor is pulling really hard, and it still handle it. Still handle it because the batteries are parallel. Now I went back to fault mode. because now the voltage already dropped below the threshold. So this is why I simulate this thing, make sure that the batteries went all the way low, so I can able to simulate what you I was complaining about, which is the surge. But two batteries already parallel together. Thank God for that one over there. It's holding up with this guy to turn the freezer and the fridge simultaneously without any headache. You saw over 120 something amps that was coming out from the battery from this guy. So 120 something, 28 for example, and multiply that times that by the voltage you saw here at that time, at that 11 point something or whatever, and see how many watt hours was coming out from this inverter, the surge. So that's why I simulated for you guys to see exactly what I'm talking about, and it holds the surge for quite a while at 100 and some amps, and the voltage is not available anymore on the batteries, and now the system shut off. It's not the BMS. The BMS would have shut off on the inverters, then there's not going to be any power left. But the inverter shut, I saw this inverter to shut off at that. If I would have went below like 9 volts or 9 point something, or 9 volts or 8 volts, then the BMS will shut down completely and there's no incoming power here. So the screen is lit. Okay, it's green. That's why you see just because of the light on the camera, that's why you still have this light. Okay, or else the BMS would have shut down completely. I was doing a test on that too. I want to see if the BMS is going to shut down at that low voltage. So maybe I have to go lower than that and see if the BMS is really active. But maybe when it goes down to that, I have to bring it up again. Look at that. So now, this is the other thing I'm about to tell you guys. I was waiting. The voltage is coming back up slowly from 10 point something, because this guy is already shut off. This guy can shut off completely within when you see that kind of surge, but this one can still handle it. So the reserve capacity, because of the BMS of this guy already shut down, maybe it just turned back on for some reason or whatever, or the juice from these guys came back to this BMS right here and reactivates this one, and the power is coming from whichever have more reserve. Like I told you guys, this one, cell number 1, I would say is dead. Well, it can charge a little bit, then after that it can just pass that threshold, like a 3.3, 3.34. That's it. Can't go back that way. And the other ones, if you started pushing more and you have over voltage on battery number 3, 4, and 2. 3, the top, that's the one that comes up first, and trigger started jumping back and forth trying to balance. And while this number 2, after it went to 3.6 or 3.5 or 3.6, and that's the time it started bouncing back and forth, trying to trade. And while this cell number 1 is still sitting at a 3.34, it's not going anywhere. This one's all the balance is already activated, and battery number 1 at the top doesn't do anything. So this is the thing I'm trying to make clear. I hope it makes sense what I'm trying to explain here. It's kind of difficult to for other people to understand what I'm saying, but if I have to do another video, I have to use another device here that shows the BMS. Then you will see exactly what I'm talking about, the discharging and charging. When you take the charger off, when you think it's charged, which this cell number 1 is still on 3.3 or 3.2 without the charger. This one is the one that started going lower, and after a while the one that's higher, those ones that's trying to balance, which I'm not seeing those batteries ever balance. So you see the balancer kicks in. I don't know how many millivolts, or if it's just a 50 milliamp, whatever, but nothing. Trust me, nothing. It can't even to balance that battery. It can leave it for days. When you come back, you will see battery number 4 is still fighting to balance, where it's jumping from 3 and 4, because 3 at the top, this one, and 1 and 2, and these two can still fighting for balancing, which is 1 cannot be, never been activated, nothing. So that's what I'm saying. It might be the battery is defective, or the BMS is bad on that one channel, or the balancer on that one. Well, I'm not gonna say probably it's bad. Maybe it's just because it never charges all the way up to that number. It's supposed to be 3.5 or something, or 4.5 or point something. That's supposed to trigger the BMS, the balancer, to start balancing. Instead, that one, I can't see what is happening there. And this guy, if you throw more that constant voltage, constant current, constant voltage, this is how you charge. But trust me, it won't work. And this guy will just stop the charging. Make sure that it's one of the cell over voltage, and it's gonna stop. You see, the power drops completely. You waited for a while, and before you can see the charger button gonna go back according to the software. You see it comes back on, while the discharge button is still there. It's a long video to explain, but this is what it is. I just want these guys to do the right thing. I'm not bashing them. I'm not trying to destroy their reputation. They did a good thing to send this battery for test, but because the test didn't completed, I just want to still talk about them so that they can change. Let them check. Or maybe any of you guys that have a problem with this battery, go kilowatt hour, leave a comment on the description below. Leave a comment, because this will talk to the manufacturer to do the right thing. We have to tell them what to do. It might probably pass the test on their own side, but you can't able to monitor every battery. They probably have a meter, a test site. They can just put everything, and it passes the test, and that's it. Maybe whosoever, a human being that is observing this, if it passes or not, or maybe who knows, it's just because it's a test review. They don't want to give you the most powerful battery or working battery. They give you a defective one, so that you can just figure it out for yourself, like saying, yeah, this one doesn't work. Or they were just like, they want you to experience that. If you can catch it and they pass, if you decide to settle with them and say, okay, I think it's going to work later, let me discharge it, recycle it once or twice, and maybe it's going to work. Or someone will say, well, it's free. Well, I don't care. Well, how are you going to give a authentic or a helpful review? I want to say good things about them. I do. I want to say good things about people. I'm not the kind of person like to say bad things about people. But if there's a room for improvement, I want to give the opportunity. This person can have a room for improvement. I will tell them. So let's go ahead and turn back this thing on. So we already said this. I forgot to push the button, and this battery is already started. It takes the power on the bulk charging both. If you missed that part, I don't know what happened, but I forgot to push the button. It's 20 amp here, they said. See that at 14.4 or 14.6, and it says charging voltage. See that? And they say charging current is 20 amps and the max is 50. So I decided to set this guy at 50 because these two batteries are sharing together, and instead of they're gonna be putting 50 amps on each battery, so it's gonna cut it in half. So it's gonna be 25 here and 25 over there, or maybe, because you see, and the load is on this one as well, or else it would probably drop about 48. It's gonna drop about 48. So even that, if it goes like it becomes 25 is good, because the standard is 20 amps and the max is 50. But you see, it can only parallel this battery, 4 of them. So if I have these the same, it's 40. It's 4 of them. So this is the golden mate. This one here, you can vary 4 of them. For these guys, I think this is the same thing too. You can do probably 4 of them. So if you put out this kind of amps, it's not gonna even hurt the BMS, because the BMS can go about 50 amps. Like and subscribe, JW Solar USA. I hope this video is gonna make sense. So this is what it is. Like and share.